Good morning.
Good morning. We have a couple people watching on Facebook already. So good morning, Michelle Wood. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you doing this morning? Miss Kay, thank you for being here. Oh, I didn't move my phone. Who else is watching on Facebook? Xavier, I know you're watching. Thank you all for watching this morning. If you can do us a favor and share it or like it.
Yeah, please share.
It.
Um, on the side, Laney, those little people, is that who's watching right now? No, that's just who you message with. Oh. Well, there's a couple of big things. First of all, the new episode for WandaVision's come out today. I know everyone's excited about that. We're all wanting some answers. But WandaVision's kind of doing the same thing that Lost did. I don't know if you ever watched Lost. Lost, you would watch an episode, it would answer 2 questions and leave you with 8. And you at the end of every episode is like, what is going on? And then the next episode comes, it answers a really important question from the episode prior, but then leaves you with a huge, bigger one, and you just give up on Lost at some point. But WandaVision has been wonderful. I was worried that my TV show Hankering wouldn't have been craved or satisfied after Mandalorian.
Yeah, seriously.
I was wrong. WandaVision's doing a good job. I will tell you this, though. You had to muscle through the first couple episodes. Pastor Ryan says it
Why?
the best. Because I don't want to watch I Love Lucy.
Oh, I thought it was funny.
And so, I don't want to watch the Brady Bunch. And, man, you really got to force yourself through. But as soon as you get through, my golly. The first 2 episodes are almost cruel. They're almost cruel. Because you know what's coming. And, I mean, another big news, they announced Spider-Man's new movie name. Spider-Man No Way Home. So, not too much hope in that. Real excited about that. New Spider-Man's coming out. On top of that, Saturday, young adults are having a worship night. It's gonna be an excellent night. Every time they do, it's always a great spiritual experience. This past Wednesday in youth, my gosh, it's probably my favorite night so far, because man, God really moved. Like it was incredible. Like not just each student got hit, but every leader was hit too. Yeah. It was wonderful. And my brother, he tells me yesterday in band practice, he says, "Hey, your sermon convicted me," and I'll tell you what I said, because my wife was preaching at FCA in Rowlett High School, and I was looking at the students. And just a part of myself, and I don't think it was really a spiritual part. It was really mainly an analytical point. I was looking at them, and I said to myself, if I had to put in a bracket, a percentage of them that actually read their Bible, how big would that margin be? And I said, in reality, it'd be small. And so I'm in youth, and I said, if I looked at you guys, and if I knew the honest answer of how many of y'all actually read the Word of God, I would be pretty discouraged. I said, shoot, I'm not even going to ask my leaders how many of y'all actually get into the Word. And how many of the members that are watching actually get into the Word? How many y'all look like y'all had an outpouring Wednesday night? We did, Pastor. It was incredible. Lenny, you can actually zoom out a little bit so I can kind of see more of a gist.
I know, Lela, you're watching. I love you, friend. Thank you for
That's
watching.
Good.
I know,
Okay.
Let's see, Dawn, good morning. Ava, good morning. Thank you for watching. But yeah, we've been saying for weeks now that revival is not just coming, it's here. And I know there's been Sarai. Good morning, Sarai.
Sarai, my cousin, she just recently got a new hairdo. She buzzed her head, and she looks gorgeous. Phenomenal.
We love you, Sarai.
Which is not to be said lightly, because many girls that shave their heads,
it's not an easy thing to do.
Look like convicts. Male convicts.
No, it's not an easy hair.
But my cousin does not. She looks gorgeous.
Jen, good morning. But yeah, so we've been talking about this for weeks now, how We've been praying for revival to hit, and revival has been happening. Like, revival has been happening. Revival is here. And I know there's like, you can even say it about individuals. Like, I think we've been having individual revivals, like this person's on fire for God, this person's on fire for God, this person. But I think the time is now here, and the time is coming where it's a corporate revival. Well, the church is just going to be on revival.
Well, even what we're even going to talk about today is talking about catching that. It's talking about catching that moment. I like, Jonathan Shuttlesworth, he's going to be coming in March.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks,
yeah. It's already March.
Is it March? It's not March yet.
It's about to be. A couple of days.
Well, anyway, he's coming pretty soon here, and it's going to be incredible. But one thing I like that he says, Todd White. It took that one encounter with him for him to turn his life around. I don't have that Todd White testimony. What does that mean? It didn't take me one go.
Yeah.
It didn't take me one go. Today we're going to be talking about Saul, and he had a Damascus Road experience. And if I can look in my life, I can pinpoint several Damascus Road experiences. Why? Because I'm a little hard-headed, and it took a little bit longer for me to get out of that little section that I was in, little season that I was in. And I wanted to ask you guys, this revival is happening. And here, even in Acts chapter 2, it says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, says God, that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions. Your old men shall dream dreams. And on my maidservants and on my maiden servants I will pour out my spirit. These are those last days. Now, God's coming whether your plans plan on it or not. God's coming whether you plan on having a family. God's coming whether you plan on going further into your job. God's coming whether God's second coming is not a respecter to your schedule. It doesn't matter what your agenda says. It doesn't matter what you have planned. It does not matter, because you need to start looking at the bigger picture is. And the bigger picture is, it's not about me. It's not about me. Because regardless of what I would like to do in my life, I have to come to the honest conclusion. Because we want a family. We want to start a family. But we also know at any given second, Jesus can come back.
Yeah. And good morning, Beth. Love you. I know Oscar Lopez is watching on YouTube. Buenos días, Oscar. Gracias por estar con nosotros. And if we just look at it biblically, when it says, in the last days I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. And then we go back to Matthew 24, where Jesus says what the last days look like and what the signs are. We're seeing those signs now. So just biblically, when we look at things, it's okay, like, we're seeing these signs. And I like what because you preached on this on Wednesday, and I like what you said. Not all the signs are bad. Like, not all the signs are destruction and negative. That there's one sign that is very positive, and it's that in the last days I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. So we should expect for God to pour out his spirit and to pour out this revival on us, because we're seeing those signs now. So it's not something that we need to be begging God for. It's something that we should be expecting and ready to receive. But one of the biggest things that we've been talking to our youth about for the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, is that this revival is coming, whether you're ready or not. Jesus is coming whether you're ready or not, and it's up to you to be a part of it. It's up to you whether you're going to be part of the revival or you're going to completely miss it. And that's not on any pastoral person or staff. It's not on the church. It's not on the preacher or the speaker who's coming. That is solely on you. That has to prepare your heart, to be honest. You just have to prepare your heart to be ready to catch this revival and be a part of it. If not, you're just gonna miss out. You're just gonna miss it.
Yeah. And even getting into that, what are those requirements? What are those things that are needed? What the point that we're trying to make is, this revival, the last days my spirit will be poured on all flesh. That is a revival. And this revival that is happening, it is happening whether you like it or not, which means that it will happen either with you or without you. You'll either jump on board and experience it, and see the glorious things that are going to happen in this last revival, or you're going to miss it completely. And, many times where we should have faced God's wrath, many times, I was talking to my little brother, and we were laughing because, we weren't the best behaved high school or middle school or elementary school or students. Me and my brother weren't. I know some of you are like, what, Pastor Jordan? No, that might surprise you, but I wasn't always a great kid. But one thing me and my brother kind of we had PTSD about was my dad would be driving in the car, and my dad will answer his phone and be, hello, this is he. And then my instant fear and dread would hit in, like, oh my gosh, a teacher's calling my dad. What did I just do? Oh, what did I just do? And it was so bad, and it happened so many times that even not too long ago, my dad says, hello, this is he. And my initial thought was, crap, what did I do? And I thought, well, I couldn't have done anything. And if I did do anything, it had to have been like 10 years ago. Like, I didn't do anything. And I said, and if it's 10 years by this point, I mean, I know the pain is fresh, but the lie is old. Okay? So, I asked my leaders, I asked my students, how many of you guys actually get into your word? How many of you guys actually, get into this? Because there's a couple of requirements that are going to take. One, this can't just be a Sunday meal. It can't just be a Sunday meal. You can't just say yes to pastor when it comes to those scriptures and then have no idea what those scriptures actually entail. You can't just be like, wow, that's really good. You can't just post little Christian memes on Facebook and not actually know what the entire scripture says. It's essentially living off of nuggets. You're living off of little chicken nuggets. You're living off of what you think you know. And there are many people who think they know God, who think they know him purely because of the VeggieTales, purely because of the sermons that they've heard, when in all actuality it is, you're missing an entire book of character that you have here. And when you don't know God, or when you think you know God, the worst isn't not knowing God. The worst is thinking you know God, and then turns out you don't know him at all. This he. I don't know what you're saying, Dad, but I love you.
This is he. That's the phone call thing.
Oh, this is he. Yes. Okay. This he. I love you, Pops.
It's one of those things where even if you look at when Jesus came to the picture, the Pharisees thought they were doing it right. The Pharisees, the people who were in the synagogue, the people who were in the law, the people who dedicated their lives to study the law and teach it. And they were the prestigious group, and they thought they were doing it right, but they were the same people that sent Jesus to the cross. Mm-hmm. They were the same ones who completely rejected him. And it was the disciples, the ones who had no education, who just said, I recognize who you are. Like, I believe you. And, one of the scary things that you just said, and we see it, I mean, we don't see it all the time, but we warn students all the time, is that there's a danger of thinking that you are just okay where you are. There's a danger in believing that I'm fine just the way I am type of thing. Because that's where you get stuck in content and you can't progress after that. And that's what the Pharisees did. And they missed out. Like, they completely missed the whole point of the Messiah coming into the picture. And they weren't part of it. And it's gonna be the same way with any movement that comes in the church, or with even in a regular Sunday service, like even in a regular Wednesday service. Like, if you're just in a place where you think you got it all figured out and you think you just fine where you are, and the worst is when you think you know enough about God already. Listen, I don't care who it is. Like, even I'm sure anyone who has been in the years of ministry, years of following Jesus, they'll tell you, I still want more of God. Mm-hmm. I still want to know more. I still need to know more of him. Because, I mean,
the dangerous place is when you get somewhere where you don't think you need anything else. Yeah. And let's be honest, someone popped into your mind when I said that. Let's be honest. We all know someone. And if you're not thinking of anybody,
it might be you.
Might be you. I like to talk about Saul because Saul was a dude who thought he knew God.
Well, I mean, just talk about Saul's background a bit. Saul was raised to know the law. Mm-hmm. Saul was raised in, the scripture and studying it. And he was on his way to being extremely, he was a very well-educated man, but he was on his way to be in a great position amongst the Pharisees, in a great position amongst the synagogue, and in a prestigious position. And he was the one, I don't know how to say that, but he was like the next in line type of thing. Okay. Like he was in that position to where he knew because he studied it. He went through the schooling. He went through all the education. And then this moment happened when he was on, it
ruined all his plans, huh?
It ruined all his plans.
It ruined all his plans. It ruined everything. And what met him in the road, and that's what I spoke about on Wednesday.
Yeah.
What met him on that road, I like to talk about what it could have been.
Well, because, look, we've all sinned. We've all done, just horrible things, right, against God and to other people. But Saul was literally going after and killing off Christians. He got a document signed to be able to have the authority and saying, if you're a follower of Jesus, if you're preaching Jesus,
you're dead.
Then you can be stoned to death. And it wasn't or put into prison. He had that authority, and he wanted to do that to anyone who was part of the Jesus movement.
And even preceding that, we were talking about what he was doing, and what's wrong was he thought he was doing the right thing. You can't even give him a break for it, because hey, because you hear that today. Yeah, I'm talking really to Lainey and Kay because they're the only ones here. But I'm talking. You hear that today. You hear, hey, at least his heart was in the right place. Dude, Saul's heart was in the right place, doing the wrong thing. Doesn't matter where your heart is when you're doing the wrong thing. If you're doing the wrong thing, you're doing the wrong thing, and that's the end of that sentence. But Saul was doing the wrong thing. And when I talked about my dad when he had those PTSDs, the reason why I'm saying that is because my dad was infamous. I'm sorry, Dad. My dad was infamous for not being able to predict how he was going to respond. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I mean.
He's about to comment something.
I'll tell you. I know he's going to comment something, but here's what I mean. It'd be, Dad, I wrecked the car. Are you okay? Gosh, are you okay? All right. I thought I was going to shoot my head off. But I leave a plate out. And it says, who did this? Who did this? And then he said, look. You did this. And I'd be like, I didn't do that. And he's like, but you've done this. And so that's the funny part of it. And it's funny. And I don't know how all dads are. But my dad, who was really hard to predict. It was really hard to predict. And I know the one who could attest to that the most is the one who got into trouble the most. That was my little brother. Josiah got in trouble hands down more than any one of us. Bethany, she was there for the trouble when it was happening, gone by the time the punishment was around. Gone by the time. Because something bad was happening, and all of a sudden, she was gone. And then Dad came out, and then smart. Who did this? And Bethany's like, I was in my room. And then we were like, you stupid girl. Oh, man. And sisters, don't do that to your brothers. That's going to build up resentment. Year-long resentment, okay? But, you think you know how someone would want to respond. Coming from our perspective, imagine if Saul had killed someone that was special to us. Mm-hmm. Let's just take that into perspective. Just perspective for a second. Doesn't infamous mean more than famous? Yes, Dad. And that's a Three Amigos reference. Wow. Infamous. Sorry. I hope y'all have seen the Three. Have y'all seen the Three Amigos? You haven't seen the Three Amigos? With Chevy Chase and Steve Martin? Oh my gosh. It's awesome. I won't even get into it right now. If Pastor Allen's watching, he knows what I'm talking about. What was I saying? What was I saying? I had spoken about putting yourself into perspective and imagining if Saul had killed somebody we know. So look, I know it sounds very raw. It sounds very, very raw. But imagine if Saul had killed one of our pastors on staff. Just imagine that. Saul had killed one of our pastors on staff. And it becomes automatically a personal thing. So automatically, we're no longer praying for Saul's deliverance. We're praying for God's justice. And I knew that there are so many people at this time praying for God to strike down Saul.
To get rid of him, to just
completely drag him to hell. I know there are people that weren't praying for Saul's well-being. And if anybody in the world at this time deserved to face God's wrath for killing his own people, it was Saul. But that's not what you find. What are you laughing at?
No, she's put especially in Texas. It's true.
Yeah, especially.
We would have prayed for all justice.
In Texas, we wouldn't have had to even pray in the first place. We would have gone and taken it ourselves. We would have taken it ourselves. We would have. And that was a Mexican. That wasn't a Israeli. That was. I watched these highlights of certain shows that I won't name. Yeah. But they're really funny. And they said, it's like, oh, we're teaching you how to be an ISIS. And he's like, what? An ISIS? And he's like, yeah, like, how do I do the ISIS call? It's like, well, just start La Bamba, but don't say the Bamba part. He's like, yeah, you got it. Bamba. Oh. Don't get mad at me for this. It had me rolling. Bamba.
That's not okay. Okay.
You want to take it away from here, Captain?
No.
Well, it's just really putting it into perspective. I like what Lainey said, especially in Texas, we wouldn't have had to pray for that. Why? We would have taken God's work into our own hands at that point. Now, that's not what you find. I was going to have Lainey pull up a video, but it was like a 15-minute video, and I don't want to do that. And my wife and I, we watched this show called Forged in Fire. Why? Because it's cool. It's like Chopped. You ever seen Chopped? Like the cooking show, but with blacksmiths. And so they give them like, oh, this is a meteorite. Oh, this is like a specific type of metal. Oh, this is, and love your revival shirt, Pastor Caro.
Thank you. Born for Revival, and then there's scripture in the back. It was from a youth camp at Cornerstone.
Do you like my Dunder Mifflin? One, Pastor Vicky? The person's paper people?
No.
No, she doesn't. She didn't compliment mine. But I did do my hair today. But
what are we talking about? Forge and Fire.
Yep.
We love that show.
Forge and Fire. Making things out of different metals. Go.
Well, no, I don't know where you're going with that.
Well, the reason where I'm going with that is because we're talking about a specific moment in Saul's life. And I thought it was ironic, the name of this specific metal. Because there's not a specific metal called this, but when you treat the metal in a certain way, it ends up being called, it changes the name of the metal, and it's called Damascus steel. Damascus steel. And what Damascus steel is you take these steel billets, you hammer them out, you stick them together, you hammer them out, and you fold them. Now, there are two different types of steel. One strong, one soft. And when you stick them together and you fold them, they do this tons of times. And they keep folding it over and over and over and over and over again until this steel has like 70 to 80 different layers. And so when they finally heat that steel, and which is another good application, and what we've still been talking about, is in order to finally be ready, in order to finally be usable, a steel cannot be used until it's been put through the fire and then in oil.
That in itself will preach.
A steel. I mean, God is the craftsman. How many times has He said it? That we are the clay. Even clay can't be ready until it's gone through the fire. But I like this specific one because I like watching it, and they bring these things out, and their biggest fear, a blacksmith's biggest fear, is Damascus. They're saying, today we're doing a Damascus steel. All the blacksmiths. Oh. Why? Because it takes the most work. It takes the most work, and it has to be done right the first time. Because if at any point, because what happens is and this is hot. This is red hot steel. And if at any point you lay the steel down on top of each other and there's an air bubble there, then the whole process of folding and molding the steel, the whole process was ruined. Because a steel bar that has air in it is weak. So finally, they get the steel done. They hammer it out into the shape of the knife that they want. They put it back into the fire. They wait till it's red hot, and then they dip it in oil. They bring it out. The fire bursts out, and then that steel is ready. Then they take the steel, they make a handle, and they sharpen it, and then they dip it in acid. Why they dip it in acid? Because it gets rid of the whole top layer of that burnt stuff, and then you see all the layers of Damascus. Now, why am I talking about Damascus, and why do the show use Damascus so much? Because when Damascus is done right, it's the strongest swords. It's the strongest steel. It ends up being real heavy because of how many different layers there are. But I've never seen a Damascus sword done right.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen it chip. Right. I've never seen it break. The Damascus are always the ones to win. The only time I've ever seen it lose is because it was too heavy.
Yeah.
But why am I talking about this? Because Damascus is just the name of that steel. There is an experience that happened to Saul years ago. Someone that should have faced God's wrath, someone that should have faced God's judgment, did not find that when he finally went on that road. We have Saul, and here, can you read it for us?
Which part?
9. Let me get some of your water too.
Then Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked letters from him to the synagogues of Damascus, so that if he found any who were of the way, whether men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. As he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light shone around him from heaven. Then he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, Who are you, Lord? Then the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the goats. So he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what do you want me to do? Then the Lord said to him, Arise and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. And verse 7, and the men who journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no one. Then Saul arose from the ground, and when his eyes were open, he saw no one. But they laid him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. Verse 9, and he was 3 days without sight, and neither ate or drank.
This was one encounter that Saul had. God changed his name after this to Paul. He's known as the Apostle Paul. He's the one that wrote the rest of this. And he wrote it from a prison cell. He didn't go to prison for killing the Christians. He went to prison for becoming one of them. Mm-hmm. And a Damascus experience is having an experience with God where I can look back and I can say, God's love changed me. When I could have been met by God's wrath, because I could have. I've done plenty wrong. I've done things wrong that I wish were longer ago than I cared to admit for. But they weren't. And if anyone deserved God's wrath, shoot, it was me. I deserve God's wrath. But what happened Wednesday is that instead of students meeting God's wrath, instead of students meeting Jesus' anger, they met his love. They met his love. And it's real, it breaks my heart when people say, I can't go to church because I've done too many things wrong. And I said, man, you don't know. Church was made just for you. Yeah. Church was made for the wrongdoers. Church was made for the imperfect. Church was made for them. Some of you are listening, and I know you've had a Damascus experience where you can look back, you can close your eyes, and you can see that time where God first touched your heart. But what I want to ask you now, and it's something I wanted to ask, and I'm going to ask those high schoolers, is for many of them, they're the only Jesus any student's ever going to meet. I want to know, are you being a Damascus road to somebody else? I can experience Jesus because there was at some point in my life, Danny Vera. Danny Vera was Jesus to me when I needed it the most at an age. Y'all know who Danny Vera is. He's in Hillsong now.
School, yeah.
Yeah, school. I went to high school. He poured into my life. He was a leader. One, this revival is happening whether you like it or not. It's happening. If you find yourself scared that Jesus is coming back, then that's not a good place to be. I'm happy because I'm not afraid anymore. Why? Because I was afraid I was going to be left behind. I was afraid I wasn't ready. But God's brought me out of too much now. God's doing too much now. There's a revival happening, and it's not just something I've read about, it's something I've seen. We went to Tampa to a youth conference, and I saw kids at the altar screaming and bawling. And I never thought I would have seen that in our generation.
Yeah, I didn't think this generation was almost capable of doing that.
This Sunday, we're going to be singing a very specific song this Sunday. It's a very important song to my walk. I had played it for one of the prayer services, and I have mentioned it a couple times on a live stream. But we're singing a song called Another in the Fire this Sunday. And it's such an important song because Saul thought he was doing the right thing when God couldn't have been further from him. At the end of his Damascus experience, at the end of that road, when he faced God's love, from that moment forward, a day didn't go by that Jesus wasn't with Paul. The day didn't go by until Jesus met Paul, changed the face of Christianity. Mm-hmm. The Christianity that we know is because Paul, he helped. He was the first missionary. I mean, how does one go from killing Christians to having a fire that burns so ferociously that you can no longer keep Jesus to yourself? That one experience. Jonathan's coming, but don't wait for Jonathan to come to get your life right now. If a Damascus moment has to happen right now on Livestream, then by golly, let it happen. Yeah. Stop putting it off to tomorrow. And even more importantly, stop putting it off on yourself. If you know there's someone that bothers you, you know that there's someone that you need to speak to. You know that there's someone that, and if God's put on your heart that needs to come to these meetings, then it's got to be the last thing that you ever do. You could risk losing this person when it comes to relationship because you become so annoying that you want them to come so bad. You need to do everything you can. You need to be annoying these next couple of weeks. You need to get people here. Why? Because they're headed somewhere.
Well, listen, just a couple of things about this story before we conclude, with everything that we said. If you can just imagine where Saul was at that point, because he thought he had the right knowledge. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought his purpose was a godly purpose. And then he gets hit with this Damascus experience. And the Bible says he spends 3 days without sight. Imagine every thought that must have gone through his head in 3 days of just pure darkness, not knowing what in the world just happened.
Well, I like to imagine, and this is from the book of Jordan, 3 days without sight gives you a lot of chance to imagine the things you've done.
Just imagine. And I'm saying this because maybe you're watching and you're starting to realize, man, maybe I'm not ready, or man, I need to get ready. I need to get my heart ready. I need to tell my friends or whatever it is that you need to just kind of, analyze, have that internal, gut check. what we used to say, like, but Saul at this moment, I love how this story continues, because Saul was in this moment of darkness, and he was in this moment of probably confusion and frustration and just not knowing where he was at, like not knowing who he even was probably at that point, not knowing what his life, everything he had done from that point, like not knowing if he had wasted his time, not knowing if he had done the right thing. He just didn't, like, everything was up for question. But I love how God works, and I love that we can read this, because just right after, in verse 10, the Lord speaks to Ananias. And Ananias, he was obedient to the Lord, but I love verse 11. Acts 9, verse 11. So the Lord said to him, to Ananias, "Arise, go to the street called Straight, and inquire at the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he is praying." Verse 12. And in a vision he has seen a man named Ananias coming and putting his hand on him so that he may receive sight. Then Ananias answered, "Lord, I have heard from many about this man, how much harm he has done to your saints in Jerusalem. And here he has the authority from the chief priests to bind all who call on your name." Verse 15, but the Lord said to him, "Go, for he is a chosen vessel of mine to bear my name before Gentiles, kings, and the children of Israel." I love that verse 15. Because while Saul was in this place of not knowing what was happening, not knowing what was coming, questioning every decision he has ever made, realizing that the same Jesus he's been persecuting is now real. That same, I can't even imagine everything Saul was going through, but at the same time, God was speaking to someone saying, "He is my chosen person. He is the one I want to go preach. He is the one I want and I have chosen for such a time as this." And I want to apply that to you, because you might be in a place in life where you don't even know. You don't even know what's going on. You don't even know what's going to happen. You might be confused. Everything's up in the air. You have no idea what God has in store for you. You don't know if your heart's in the right place. You don't know where you're at. But I want to tell you, we here at Church in the City are praying for you. We here at Church in the City believe that God has a purpose for you. We here know that God has chosen you for such a time as this. There's an Ananias in your corner. There's an Ananias that's in your life that also believes in you and is hearing from the Lord and is being obedient to go pour into your life, to go and speak to you, to go and pray for you, that is praying for you even now. So for those watching, you can either be on the Saul end or you can be on an Ananias end. Whichever one you are, you're obedient. You're being obedient to the Lord. And with this week coming up, with Jonathan coming up, what was it, this past Sunday, we passed out the Operation Andrew sheets. Bring those people, pray for those people, be an Ananias to that person, that God has a purpose for them, that God has a calling for them, that in these last days, that there is a specific thing that they can also do for the kingdom of God. And be that person who is obedient to the Lord and says, okay, like if I can't completely reach them or preach to them or like get them saved, they won't listen to me, I'll just invite them to church with me. But be that person and be encouraged. Be encouraged either way. That one, and I love this side because there's always the two-sided perspective. On one end, Saul didn't know what was going on, and God had a person for him to encourage him and walk him through it. And then on the Ananias end, he was scared of Saul, how he was going to respond if he went to talk to him about Jesus. He was scared. He said, "Lord, like this guy has the authority to like put me in prison, like, and you want me to go talk to him?" Like, imagine how much more us that we're sometimes scared to talk to a coworker, sometimes scared to talk to a random person at a restaurant. Like, the Lord is going to be with you. Just go and be obedient, and he'll give you the words to say. He'll give you exactly what to say for that specific person. And we just want to encourage you with that. This year, I think, I'll even say these next couple of months, but for the entire year, I think it's going to be a very defining year for your life and a very defining, important year for Church in the City. And we're fully committed. We're fully in it. We're fully believing that this is going to be the best year yet we have ever seen in ministry, that we're going to see soul saves. Like even just now, I spoke, you said that I spoke at FCA this past Wednesday, and for those who don't know, Brooke is watching now, and Brooke is a teacher and a coach at Rowlett High School. And
God's using Brooke.
God is using Brooke in an amazing, like ridiculous way. Like, just for example, she's been doing FCA on campus, which is very rare nowadays. Not every school is doing FCA.
Well,
and
last year, they dismembered.
Yeah, well,
they outlawed See You at the Pool.
Like, See You at the Pool is no longer legal now. Like, they completely got rid of that. If you don't know what it is, one day of the year, students would gather around campus at the pool, at the flagpole, and pray for their campus. You can no longer do that. They will not let you do that. But FCA is still going. It's becoming more rare. But I went to speak to them, and I told them, because for those who don't know, there's going to be a worship night, March 26th, worship night, right after
Well, it's
school.
a worship evening.
Worship evening. Right
worship
after
event.
Worship event, whatever you want to call it. It's on the flyer.
Have heated.
There's an event happening at Rowlett High School, a worship event, right after school ends. And, you know, Brooke had messaged us with the graphic saying, hey, the students want to do this. We've organized this. Let's just pray that it gets approved.
Yeah.
And I looked at Jordan and I was like, dude, that thing's getting approved. Like we don't even have to pray about it, because that is something that, many people have spoken over us about an event type of thing, of that kind of event.
Well, almost the irony. It's almost ironic.
It was ironic, but we were just like, that thing's getting approved. Like, we don't care who is in that meeting. That thing's getting approved. So finally it got approved, and we're being part of it. But I spoke to the students and I said, hey, y'all need to realize that what y'all are doing here, is not happening at every high school. Like, the fact that things are getting canceled, like culture canceled, the fact that things are just getting worse in schools, that you can't pray at See You at the Pool, things are getting taken away. And then you guys are coming around and doing a worship night on campus right after school and praying for students and having a message and the whole thing. That's a miracle in itself with the way the nation is right now. So it's just, things are happening, things are shifting, things are aligning. And come on, it's almost like we've prayed for this and then we're like, oh, it's actually happening. Of course it's happening. We've been praying for months. No, because you prayed for it. We've been praying for months, Tuesdays and Thursdays. If y'all are here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, everything we've been praying for, everything is starting to align for those prayers to come to pass.
And why? Because we're praying for the kingdom.
We're praying according to the word of God, and everything's aligning. And, we need to make sure that everything's aligning, but we're right on that too. We're aligning ourselves with the word of God too. And, things are shifting, things are happening, things are just coming into the right place for the right time. But even for you and your family, even for you and your friends, things are happening around you that are aligning certain people for you to speak to them at the right time, and that they will say yes. That they will come and they will get saved and they will get healed. So I want to encourage you guys with that. Revival is happening. Revival is here. Align yourself with the word of God. Align yourself with what God is doing. If you're on the Saul end, you have someone in your corner. You have someone who believes you. God is on your side. He has a plan for you even when you don't even know it yet. And if you're on the Ananias end, God is on your side too. God is for you, and he'll provide a way for you to speak to whoever you need to speak to. But I know this isn't a church-related event, but I'm going to put it out there for this worship night. The students want to give out prizes and stuff, so if anyone feels in the heart to donate for this event, this isn't church-related. You don't have to.
But it's kingdom related.
But it's something that's happening in our city. So if you just feel in the heart for you that you can donate something, because the students want to give away prizes to be able to attract a bigger crowd. So if you feel in your heart that you want to give to that cause, give to that event, you can message us on Facebook or message Brooke directly, and we'll get that sorted out. But besides that, do you have anything else?
It's going to be March 26th. Be praying with us. Mm-hmm. Be praying with us. I'll be speaking at that. It's crazy.
But listen, this is one of those things that, please be praying for us, because because this could be like one of those things where this is the only time some of them might hear the gospel, and this might be one of those times where it might be their only opportunity to get saved. And we don't know who's going to be there. We don't know who what teacher, what student. But listen, I'll be honest with you, and I'm declaring it now, and I want y'all to believe with us. But I'm believing that like people go there expecting just a couple songs, but the fire of God is gonna hit them like never before. And I'm believing that signs and wonders are gonna break out, because listen, there's no faster way to get someone to believe in God than to see a miracle right in front of their eyes. So I'm believing, and please be praying for us, that there will be signs, wonders, miracles, and healings that are going to happen in that place, and that whole school is going to get turned around. But we love you guys. We have a couple of announcements. If you signed up for the marriage and relationship class with Pastor Mike and Pastor Vicky, it's happening this Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. So please just set a reminder on your calendar or whatever it is. Just set a reminder. Jordan mentioned it. City Young Adults Worship Night is this Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. They're doing it here in the main sanctuary. So if you know any young adults, please invite them. They've been having great services, and it's going to be an awesome night with the young adults. Jonathan Shuttlesworth, we've been mentioning March 7th through the 12th. Everything's on Facebook. If you want to post it or share it, it even popped up now. That is on Facebook, and you can share it, screenshot it, send it to your friends, text it over, whatever it is. He's gonna be here. You don't want to miss out. Like, whatever. You all just don't want to miss out. I can't even say how awesome he is. Like, he has changed our lives so many times. Like, you just, if you don't come to this event, you just.
Oh, look at how handsome he is. Look.
We love Jonathan and Dallas.
I met him when I was 5 years old.
We're so grateful to their ministry. We wouldn't be where we're at.
Yeah. He let me. He told me to go to the river. I was gonna go to some church in Rhode Island. I don't even remember the name of the school.
Yeah, I remember. Children's Crusade. So at the same time, awesome. This is one of those great things. For those parents that are gonna be here, there's not only gonna be revival for you, but there's gonna be revival for your kids. Also, because you want to take over that?
What?
Oh, yes, you can. Do you have the promo? Yeah, for all the parents watching, this is what's going to be there for your kids. You can watch it now. So they're going to get this, but
this
they have
is
a
my
video
father.
promo.
Well, no, we're about to talk about it.
Here we go.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hey, Winnie.
What about stuff?
We gotta hurry.
Oh.
Winnie, guess what?
What?
We're going to Dallas.
I'm so excited.
I know. We're gonna go and we're gonna hang out with church in the city.
With Pastor Jordan.
And Pastor Hankin.
And Pastor Vicky.
And Pastor Caro.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I am too. Church in the city. We are so excited to be coming to your church and spending a whole week with you.
A kids revival.
We're having a kids revival. And we believe with all our hearts that God has something awesome for every kid that will come. What do you think, Winnie?
I think it's super duper true. And I can't wait to see you. That rhymed.
Wow, you're good.
Bye.
If you didn't know, that is Wonderful Winnie.
That's Pastor Jeff, Wonderful Winnie. That's obviously my father-in-law, and
that's my father. Now,
Winnie is my favorite.
This in 2 weeks is going to be probably one of the most important weeks at church in the city. Yes, Pastor Vicky.
We're so excited.
It's going to be one of the most important weeks at church in the city. Why? Because I'm not aware of how many times this has happened. And even when Jonathan had come already to Dallas too, we're going to be the first church that I know of that are bringing someone in for a revival in the sanctuary. And at the same time, they brought someone in for revival for the kids too. Now, I don't know any evangelists better than Jonathan Shuttlesworth.
And I don't know any children's pastor better than your dad, so.
And that's not just because he's my dad. It's really not because he's my dad. He's the most successful children's minister I've ever seen.
Yeah. So please, parents, please bring the kids in your neighborhood. Like, just, I don't care if you have to bribe them. Like, just bring them.
Okay, that sounds creepy. Look.
No, but I'm saying, like, do whatever you need to do. I know that Jen has everything covered. She's going to have food for the kids and all.
It's going to be awesome.
You don't want to miss out.
You bring your kids, bring your friends' kids. Tell them that, we have something special for the kids. They brought someone in for the kids. It's going to be incredible. Your kids are going to receive, and what they're going to be instilled with this coming in 2 weeks, what they're going to be instilled with is going to stay with them for the rest of their lives. It's going to be incredible. It's not only going to change you guys, it's going to change your whole family, because that's what we want. Mm-hmm. We want the whole family we want our whole community to be affected. And it's going to be, I can't overhype this. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, so please be excited, be praying, and come. Also, Palm Sunday is coming up March 28th. We are having, Josiah. Oh. We are having the egg rush like always, and we're asking for candy donations. There's a bin already in the lobby, so if you want to bring candy, if you can bring candy, please bring candy. It's located in the main foyer. Also, March 21st, it's coming up pretty quickly here. It's Pastor's 50th wedding celebration. So finally, we've come to the place where we can celebrate it, and we want you to be a part of it. So it's March 21st. D group Sundays at 9 a.m. Let's see. Easter Sundays, April 4th at 10:30 a.m. And for those who are wondering, I know there's a lot that's been happening these past couple of weeks, but for those who have been wondering, Mike Powell's celebration of life service is going to be happening Sunday, March 14th. So if you've been wondering about that, what's going to happen, it's going to happen March 14th on a Sunday at 3 p.m. here at Church in the City. And if you knew Mike Powell, if you want to honor his life, just come and celebrate his life that Sunday at 3 p.m. But besides that, that is all the announcements. Obviously, giving as always. You can give online. You can give by text. You can give in the sanctuary. And if you have any questions or comments, concerns, or whatever it is, you can always contact us here at church. And if you want any more information about that event for Rowlett High School, just contact us or contact Brooke, and we can give you more information.
Now, what I would like, and no matter what point and you're watching this, I would like to do a Hot Ones challenge with my wife.
Oh, no.
So what I need from you is I need you to write questions, whatever questions. They can be biblical or personal about our lives.
Explain what Hot Ones is.
I'm about to. Okay. If you just want, you're gonna do it. Any questions you want about either of us, and we're both going to answer those questions while we eat hot wings. Now, it doesn't sound crazy, but she can't take hot wings to save her life.
So if y'all don't know, there's actually it's not a trend, but there's an actual real channel or like a guy who does these videos with just celebrities, and they do hot wings, like the hottest sauce they can find, and they have to eat these hot wings while answering questions. And it's pretty funny at times because it gets hot. Yeah,
we'll have milk with us. It's going to be real fun, and I really like to do this.
Listen, too much pepper in my chicken makes my mouth hot as can be. I cannot take hot wings.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. We need you guys to write these questions down on the comments. We're going to collect the questions, or the questions that we think would be the best to be answered, and then we're going to do this. We're going to do this, and it's going to be so much fun. And if it goes well, that's why I can't tell you now. If it goes well, I would like to challenge Pastor Ryan to join me for a Hot Ones challenge as well. So I think that would be great. So I love you guys. I don't want that. Me neither, Pastor Gato. Nothing hot or spicy.
Here, look,
I'm sorry, but she's married to me.
I know we're Mexicans, but he can't eat beans, and I don't do spicy.
Yeah, we dishonor the name of the Mexican culture. Yeah, my whole Chapa side is ashamed of me.
I know, right? So, anyways, we love you guys. If you want to see me do that challenge, you're going to have to enter questions. If not, we won't do it. So
bring the questions. Bring the questions so she can do it. Oh, it will be so exciting. Imagine we could do this next Friday. It'll be so great. Oh,
I'm sick next Friday. Love you guys. We'll see you all on Sunday. Be here for worship. It's going to be awesome. Bring your friends. Invite people. Bring the youth. We're going to have a great service. Bring all the kids, and we'll see you on Sunday.
We hope you enjoyed today's service. You can always rewatch this message on our Facebook and YouTube archives. Download our podcast app to hear other messages like this one. We love you, and we hope you have a great week. Follow us on social media at CITC Dallas on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For more information about what's going on in church in the city, visit our website at citcdallas.com.